One of the midterm elections where single women broke for Democrats by a very wide margin. News of conservatives coming out with, big brain takes like, maybe we shouldn't have women vote came out of the woodwork. In fact, one pastor belonging to a conservative religious group has openly called to eliminate the 19th Amendment, which again granted women the right to vote. So Pastor Doug Wilson had written on his blog that women lacked the discernment to vote and therefore should not be given the agency. Just take it back. All women, no voting for you. Okay, you voted incorrectly. Therefore, we just don't think you're smart enough to vote because you didn't vote for Republicans. You don't know what's good for you. And you know what's good for you? Me controlling your life. Wow. Great. So now, that said, in another blog post, he said something different, slightly. He said, well, maybe women should get the right to vote, but only if they're the head of the household. He said, because we live in a time when egalitarianism is running a full court press. Who cannot see that if a disgruntled woman insists on defining herself as excluded because her husband cast a ballot when she did not, that she would continue to see herself as excluded even if she could vote? The vast majority of the votes determining the future of the church will be taken at the session level, which really does exclude women. So, at the head of household, women really aren't head of household anyway. So I guess they don't really matter, because we outnumber them. Oh, okay. Now in 2019, Wilson, again, has a long history of saying really effed up things about women, their place in the home, their role in the family, as well as in political, in politics in general. In 2019, Wilson created 6 episodes of a talk show for Amazon Prime, which is insane. With episodes entitled The Sins of Christian Women, The Sin of Empathy, empathy, and The Lie of Servant Leadership. Now that last one, again, about women being in leadership roles, say, well, they really can't be in a leadership role, not with a man behind them telling them what to do, like Amy Coney Barrett. It's a lie. The lie of servant leaders, they can't be leaders because they're servants. Now, he's not the only one who said effed up things, of course, and other people affiliated with his ministry have said similar things, of course. And this is according to a group called Examining Moscow, which, by the way, Moscow, Idaho. So let's be clear, this is not dealing with Russia. There is a town in Idaho named Moscow. So now this group, and by the way, this is where Doug Wilson lives and has influence in. And this group, Examining Moscow, basically, warns about his influence, warns about all the things that his group is saying and that he is saying through different social media. And they found examples like this. Joel Webbin of the Right Response Ministries, which partners with Wilson in lectures, YouTube videos, and events, said this, quote, yes, women are more easily deceived than men. Oh, really? But by who? Is it what? The devil?
It's the devil, okay?
Okay, so it is the devil, apparently. And says this, the 19th Amendment was a bad idea. Oh. Dominic Tennant, co-author of the book, It's Good to Be a Man, published through Wilson's publishing company, Hinnon Press, wrote this in a Facebook exchange, voting is an act of rulership. Since rulership is not given to women, women should not vote. Very clear. Stephen Wolfe, author of The Case for Christian Nationalism, otherwise known as Nazism, published by Wilson's Canon Press, again, tweeted that he believes only heads of households should vote. When asked by Mark Tooley, president of the Institute on Religion and Democracy, the affirmed franchise for all adult men and women, Wolfe replied, no. That. Now, it's not just men, but it's also women in this group voting against their own rights. Allie Beth Stuckley, who blogs as the conservative millennial, discussed the female vote in a Repeal the 19th Amendment show on Blaze TV. Again, let me show you that.
The movement then, I don't think I would have been a part of as a whole. I for sure, they had some causes that I agreed with. But I know Joy and I both have a very unpopular opinion. And that is that we like how the original voting was set up and that there was one vote per household. And I know a lot of people are like, what in the world? But yeah.
And it went to property owners.
Oh, so I really liked it when the landed male gentry was the only one that was able to vote. So there's that. And there's more, by the way. The Communion of Reformed and Evangelical Churches, a denomination that claims more than 100 congregations in the U.S., a dozen other countries, which includes former insiders, argues that recent posts on women voting are consistent with Wilson's sometimes theology of male leadership and female submission. In fact, Wilson wrote this about relations, quote, during intercourse between husband and wife, the man must conquer and the woman must surrender. So he doesn't want any of that
sexual anarchy.
Okay, no, must be a conquer. You must conquer. Woman must surrender. He added, however we try, the sexual act cannot be made into an egalitarian pleasuring party. Look, what a way to admit that you have never, ever made your wife orgasm at all. She, I feel bad for her. What are you going to do? Wow. Just wow. I'm trying to find a good sound clip for that. I don't know if I can. I don't know if I can. All right, we'll move on. Speaking of his wife, of course, here's what she wrote. Wives can't say no because a husband is never trespassing in his own garden. So basically, here's the wife advocating for marital rape. Well, it's not rape if you're married. I mean, you can't trespass in your own garden. Wow, disgusting. Disgusting. And so with attitudes like that, of course, nobody should be at all surprised that there was a series of sexual abuse convictions of male community members in that area. In some cases, Wilson has come out and pled for leniency in the sentencing of these sex offenders. Imagine that. Now, let me give you an example that is just absolutely disgusting. This is former Christchurch deacon Alex Lloyd, who pled guilty of possessing, wait for it, child porn. Lloyd pleaded guilty in August. He sentenced on December 19th. At the time, Wilson told the outlet The Roy's Report that, quote, we regard this entire tragic episode as one more casualty in the unconscionable pornification of our culture. Wait, so the deacon is a child predator. They found images on his iPhone, okay? And then this guy comes out, Wilson, and is like, damn Pornhub. It's all their fault. It's all their fault. If you hadn't just been, lured by internet porn, you wouldn't be looking at children. Wait, what? But look, right wing, let's talk about groomers, right? I mean, yet they seem to ignore all the groomers in their communities. Matt Walsh, for example, remember, Matt Walsh defended Josh Duggar. So, definite definite pedo. Now, Vice also published an extensive report on sexual abuse in Wilson's Moscow community in its article, Inside the Church That Preaches Wives Need to Be Led with a Firm Hand. And one former Christchurch member describes how she was groomed and abused in a YouTube interview. So, what? I thought we were talking about groomers. Well, we found the groomers. QAnon, look, we found the groomers. They're right here. They're right here. They're right here. There they are. They're not in Hollywood. They're not in the Democratic Party. They're in the churches. I'm not saying they couldn't be, by the way, in Hollywood or in the Democratic Party, but they're focused only on those things and nowhere else when there's literally groomers in their own ranks. They just ignore it. Ignore it. You got pedos in the pulpit and they don't care. And look, by the way, the whole point, like the whole thing that the church does, by the way, a lot of these, churches do, is that they target women young, they groom them, they marry them off young, and they strip them, of course, of their own rights and autonomy. That's it. They fill their head full of propaganda, full of lies. And then, at things like, oh, yeah, of course, I'm not smart enough to make decisions on who to vote for. It should be my husband. And the husband's usually, 20 years older? It's disgusting. And the reason, of course, they do this is that they're afraid of women exercising their own power, being able to think for themselves. They're scared of that. Because when women think for themselves, guess what? Guys like this lose. Now, if you believe this is only a small part of the right wing, you would be wrong. Some other videos here where, again, you had right-wingers that after this midterm were attacking single women for voting for Democrats, voting for bodily autonomy. You had Jesse Waters saying things like, put a ring on it. You got to put a ring on it. So these good little, Republican, good little voters, these women can be good little Republican voters. And, vote away their civil rights. I have more. Let me show you some of the, right-wing influencers. A couple of them, at least. Here's Joel Berry saying unmarried women in America are lost, miserable, addicted to SSRIs, and alcohol, racked with guilt from abortions and wandering from partner to partner. They are the Democrats' core base now. The Democrats will do anything possible to manufacture more of them. Unhinged. Totally unhinged. Then CJ Pearson. I hope the unmarried women that voted en masse for the left to realize that having the right to kill your unborn baby is much good when you buy groceries, gas up your Prius. And again, it's just a sampling. If you want to check out the original video that has more, that's on YouTube. Well, but look, here's the thing. The whole point of some of these evangelical, especially Christian nationalist movements, is to subjugate women. When we say it's about control, we're not lying. We're not blowing smoke up your ass. All you have to do is just listen to these people, read their own words. They'll tell you exactly what they're for. They're not shy about this. They will tell you point blank to your face, yes, we think you're just nothing more than a walking rib womb, right? With no rights, and you shouldn't have any rights. And guess what? What we're going to do, if you get us into power, we're going to do exactly what we say. We're going to get rid of your rights. When people tell you who they are, I don't know, maybe you should believe them.